Hello. Ever feel that you are just putting on a show, acting as if, putting on a performance, and one day you're going to get found out? Quite often we think that imposter syndrome, which is what that is, just relates to our professional lives. However, it can relate to our personal lives as well. So the person who feels that they're just pretending to be a good mother, but they don't really know what they're doing, or the perfect spouse, or the guy who is the most successful one in their friendship group, and they know what's going on and they're Mr. Fix-It. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, imposter syndrome. Hello, I'm Declan. I'm a psychotherapist and coach, and I specialize in mental and emotional well-being, career development, and relationships. Chief of Wellness is a channel to provide education and support and tools and techniques. So, some research has shown that over 70% of professionals feel that they're imposters. They suffer from imposter syndrome at some point or another. And this can happen when you've just gotten promoted, you've got a new job, or even very high performing, high achieving people feel this way. So it's not just the person who's just early on in their career or whatnot. It is actually something that you can find right up to board level. And so what is it really all about? So this is mainly at the root of it about self-doubt. We doubt ourselves, our abilities, and sometimes it doesn't matter what we get back, the positive feedback, whatever that looks like, whether it's achieving a target or goal, getting that promotion, getting feedback from your spouse that they really appreciate something that you did. If we have this lack of self-belief within us, we will feel that we're just pretending, that it was a fluke. Whereas in reality, you could have worked really hard. However, that lack of confidence, that self-doubt will make you think, oh, phew, I passed it this time round. I delivered X, I did Y. However, they're soon going to know that I don't really know what I'm talking about. Self-doubt can actually be quite good, because if you use it, if you lean into it and you use it to double check your facts, for example, to double check that you know what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about. So you then build in that added level of reassurance for yourself. So rather than using the doubt to freeze you into a situation where you're afraid, lean into it. Use the fact that you think that, oh my gosh, I've got to do this presentation and I don't know what I'm doing, or I think I'm going to fluff my lines. Use that energy, because everything's about energy. Use that energy to help you build a checklist, for example, to make sure that you've got all your facts, that you know what you're doing. You're just about to go off on that family trip and you're the one who's in charge of making all the arrangements. Okay, break it down step by step. From the moment you leave the door, you leave home, what do you need to do? So that you can have that as your own checklist. You can put it on your phone, on your memo function. You can send it as an email to everyone. Hey, this is what we're doing, so that you take the responsibility off yourself. You can use that doubt in so many ways. I'm mixing personal and professional examples here because this is the reality of our lives. We tend to think that things are in silos. However, the reality is that one thing bleeds into another part. So imagine that you've had, I don't know, a disagreement with your significant other. And then you're working from home or you're going into the office or wherever. And that mood follows you. And you can feel it, you can see it. And it can impact your interactions with others. It can impact your day at work. And so things that happen to us in one sphere of life can inform and influence another, consciously or unconsciously. So if we flip that on its side, things that we learn to help us in one aspect, we can use it somewhere else. So that's kind of like a solutions way of thinking. What have I done before that has been successful, regardless of the context, regardless of the situation? But what have I done before? And how can I adapt that somewhere else? And because you always think about something doesn't mean it's true. So you can go through the same thought patterns, the same thought process. I did this. Why did I do that? I'm always doing this. Those are just your thoughts. They're not facts. You may have given them a lot of credit, as it were, because they're the familiar. However, it doesn't make them true. And it doesn't mean that you can't change the way you think, reframe how you see something. So let's see how we can tackle this when the inevitable doubts come, because we're started coming from a place of not believing in ourselves. So let's come up with some evidence to the contrary. Yeah. So if you're thinking, oh, I can't do this, it's a new challenge. Well, seeing that new challenge as growth. This is something that I haven't done before, but I have achieved other things in the past. How did I go about that? So let's come up with an evidence list. Now, this evidence list is to support the fact that you can do things. So think of 3 things that you've done that you're particularly proud of, and they can be in any aspect of your life. And these things could be things that they don't necessarily need to be that difficult, but they may have challenged you in some way. They may have made you go outside of your comfort zone. So what were those 3 things? Write those down. What were the particular challenges that you had to overcome in achieving those things? What did you learn from going through those challenges? What will you do differently? What could you do differently? How could you apply those lessons to something else? The most important thing is when you have something new to deliver and you start to doubt yourself, go back to your evidence list. I'm asking you to do 3. You can do so many more. Start off with 3. Keep it as a live document. So it can be anything. It could be somebody who doesn't know how to cook, for example. You know, boiling an egg is the most simplest form of cooking, some would say. So I learned to boil an egg. What about kids that are going off to university now? They may not know how to cook, so they learn how to cook. And then that person comes home for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they make a side dish for the family meal. It can be learning how to use Excel. You know, some people think about Excel and they kind of go into a freeze. Oh my God, numbers, spreadsheets. You could learn how to use Excel. You could learn how to create a simple spreadsheet that allows you to keep track of your day-to-day spending. It can be anything. It doesn't matter how small, but it's something that's important to you. So the lesson from that is recognizing the things that you've achieved, where you've had challenges, where you thought, oh, I couldn't do that. It's like someone going through the proverbial forest and you're looking and all you can see is just forestry, and you have to beat a path through, find a path through that. Well, if at some point you turn round, you can see how far you've come. But when you were standing at the edge of the forest, you didn't know how you were going to go through. It's the same thing. Every time we achieve something, let's use that to motivate us to build on. And so rather than being critical of ourselves, let's use the doubt, the feelings of being an imposter, of being a pretender to, well, no, I didn't know this before, but now I do. I got this promotion, but my old job, I didn't know that before either. And I felt a bit of an imposter in that, but I got to learn. And now I'm in this new phase, this new space of growth. So imposter syndrome can look like anything. It's not just related to work. It can be in our personal lives as well. That person who's feeling that they are not the most organized of mothers. Are your children healthy? Are they clean? Are they well fed? Do they have all the things they need to go to school? So the house may be untidy. What's important to you? If you've liked the video and you found it helpful, hit like and subscribe and share it with your friends, and let's go on this journey together. Till the next time, take care.